Okay. Well, hello and welcome to the third presentation for the Get Well webinar series. We are highlighting some pretty unique and amazing wellbeing programs or services that are local to Gippsland. And today we've got Jess Edwards from Flourish Health and Wellbeing in Nature. Jess is a mental health social worker down on the Bass Coast, and as well as a body positive advocate. Sorry. And she does lots of amazing. We're off to a good start. Lots of amazing stuff. So I'm going to hand over to Jess, who is going to walk us through her amazing service.
Thanks, Doug. Much appreciated. So first off, I'd just like to pay, do an acknowledgement of country and pay respect and honour to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present here today, and extend this respect to past, present and emerging leaders. We acknowledge the stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and the unique connection they have to the land. And Flourish operates on the traditional lands of the Bunurong, Boonwurrung and Gonai Kurnai people.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess.
So as Doug said, I'm a social worker and nature therapist. I'm currently doing some postgrad studies in mental health. I also have a diploma in drug and alcohol studies, and a background of working within the mental health field for the past 15 odd years. So as well as that, I'm a Australian Association of Social Workers member and a Australian Association of Bush Adventure Therapists member as well as one of the ABAT Vic representatives as well.
You're a lot of cool things.
Thanks, Doug. So are you. So some of the services we offer here at Flourish is individual counselling and support. So nature connection walks, workshops and corporate wellbeing retreats. And coming soon is our female and non-binary adventure group, which is in partnership with yourself, Doug, Gippsland Adventure Therapy.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So in developing Flourish as a business, I really wanted to focus on some things that would be vital but underpin the business. And so I came up with 10 principles and values that underpin everything that we do here at Flourish. So the first one is a person-centered approach to practice, having respect for diversity, respect and paying dignity to everybody's own individual stories. Obviously, privacy and confidentiality, accessibility, sustainability. So we practice the leave no trace principles here at Flourish as well. The importance of creativity and connection, not only to the environment and the lands that we live on, but also to each other as well. So we also practice at Flourish a holistic wellbeing principle, which looks at an individual as a whole person and rather just than issues that may be going on for them. So look at, their likes, their dislikes, and also, every element of a person. So whether or not that be their spirituality, their employment, their family. So it's a really holistic but collaborative model as well. So we embrace Indigenous cultures and philosophies. We work through an evidence-based practice model, and we are committed to professional development. So at Flourish, we are a registered NDIS provider, which means we've gone through an auditing process and developed lots of policies and procedures to support the work that we do here. We are a Welcome Here member, and so LGBTQI+ friendly service. We are an outreach-based service that covers the Bass Coast and the South So we come and see people where they are and take them out within those local areas as well, and further afield if we need to. So some of the counselling approaches and modalities that I use are trauma-informed care, collaborative care, holistic counselling, nature-based therapy, strengths approach, mindfulness, narrative therapy, expressive therapies, which can include things like creative arts, poetry, other ways of expressing feelings and thoughts. A somatic approach, which is around the body-brain connection, and other therapies which we can use are CBT, so cognitive behaviour therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, and motivational interviewing. So these are some of we are on Facebook, socials, and obviously on the website. We do have a page for health professionals on the website, which has more information about these things in depth, and also a referral form as well.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, that's such a brilliant and informative and
Speedy.
short and sweet. Oh, no, it's perfect. I mean, people can fit it into their lunch breaks. Hey, thanks for joining us, Justin. I've just had a thought too, Jess. Everything there looked so amazing that you do, but would you mind maybe talking for just a couple of minutes about like how you might do your sessions? Say like you might do like a walk and talk and
Absolutely,
and perhaps some of the respite retreats that you're planning as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, of course, Doug. So, for instance, I might meet a young person and pick them up from school, and then we would head off on our adventure. So that might be to the local wetlands, and there we might do a walk and talk session. We might go to the beach, do some creative nature art on the beach, rock pooling, and doing walk and talk kind of therapy at the same time. So I've noticed in my years of practice that often sitting across from a young person in a counselling room can be quite intimidating, and even for adults as well. So being able to engage them in something outdoors breaks down that barrier, and often means conversation is flowing a lot easier. Some of the best conversations I've had with young people have just been in the car driving somewhere and getting to know them. So but part of my own love of nature and being able to spend time outside was part of also acknowledging the innate healing properties that being outdoors has. So that was part of the Flourish model as well.
That's awesome. It's so important to be able to like tailor it so that you can provide something that's engaging.
Absolutely. And so we work with people from 8 years up, and so work with not only young people but adults as well. And so next weekend is our first body positive nature retreat for a group of women. And that includes women from kind of mid-20s through to about 60, and some NDIS participants. And so we're heading up to Mansfield glamping for the weekend, and then off doing some walks and some activities around the Mansfield area as well.
That's awesome. Justin, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you have any questions that are relevant for you? You can choose not to, but that's fine.
No, that's all right. And I'll ask both of you basically just about because both of you work sometimes with, and Doug often with just one person and one young person on those one-on-one sessions. how do you go about keeping yourself safe as far as easiest way to say it is allegations of any wrongdoing when you're the only adult and they're the only child, and it's sort of, you know, it can get tricky. And I was just wondering how you deal with that.
Do you want to go, Doug?
No, it's your presentation. You can
Okay.
you can do it, and I can add to it.
So I think to start with, it's really important about boundaries. And so allegations can occur anywhere, even in a counselling room. So it's really important, first off, to have those professional boundaries, and also around, you know, talking about what's appropriate and what's not. Obviously, sometimes if you're doing physical activities, say for instance, if Doug's doing abseiling or something like that, I imagine sometimes you've got to help people with harnesses and equipment, so you're in a little bit more close contact. I don't generally have that issue, but it is about you know, being careful and things like that, and also being really, I suppose, transparent if you feel like anything has occurred or there might be an issue, to discuss that and to be open and honest about that as well. You know, obviously part of being a professional in this field is also we have supervision, so being able to debrief and talk through those issues in supervision. But if I was ever concerned about a misunderstanding or something as well, I think being able to raise that not only with the individual, but if it was a young person, with parent or carer as well, and say, look, you know, I was a bit concerned about this comment or this, or yeah. And I think that that's really important, to be transparent about that. And of course, documentation. So if anything happens as well, documenting that, or, you know, so you're covering yourself as well. And obviously, look, I've never had an issue in the time that I've been working.
That's the thing. I do understand that, and it's sort of just one of those things that I guess it's an interesting question to ask, though.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that, you know, as helping professionals, we hope that nothing like that ever happens. But in any way or any field that we work in, that can occur. So I think just being aware of that and aware of your own professional and personal boundaries is really important as well. And I think, you know, when you're working with young people particularly as well, part of that is sharing some information about yourself as well, to build rapport and things like that too. But it's also about, you know, knowing what's appropriate and what's not.
Yeah, and I do understand that, and I suppose it's part of the question, I guess, is knowing that these people, quite a lot of the people that we're talking about, the people that you would work with, are you know, as you said, special needs, but also just vulnerable and have come from bad backgrounds, and that's why they're involved in your service. So
absolutely,
understand, you know, where they're coming from, and that, to acknowledge that, I suppose it's part of the healing process that they're going to have to go through, is to try and understand their own boundaries, which is what you're there to help with as well. So
exactly,
yes,
exactly.
Just about that, and transparent is probably the best way to say it. And just to your comment before, it was part of it, you said it's very different sitting across from someone. I think, yeah, sitting next to someone versus across from them is a very different thing, and that's a good way to think about it. So.
Absolutely. And I feel like even some people, you know, have this notion of what counselling is or what therapy is. And I try and break that down, and really what's therapeutic for one person isn't necessarily therapeutic for another. But the way I see it is engaging someone in their own healing journey, and that's going to look different for everybody. And so for one counselling approach will work for one person but won't necessarily work for another. But at the heart of any good therapeutic alliance is that relationship that you build with that person. And I think that that's really the most important.
Absolutely. I don't think I really have anything to add to that, Jess, apart from it's interesting to think about, and I don't know this 100%, but there's not many professions where you're not one-on-one with somebody. Education is probably one of them, but yeah, like, you know, doctors, bus drivers, taxi drivers, youth workers, social workers, counselors, physiotherapists, like there's always risk. There's always a time where you're one-on-one with a young person, and you just have to take it individually and be really everything you just said, and just go through your own risk analysis.
Absolutely. And I think as well, as professionals, you get a bit of a sense or an innate, discomfort if something's not quite right. And so even, tuning into that and acknowledging, look, I'm not really feeling comfortable here. Maybe, we would go somewhere a little bit more, not necessarily open, but like a community space there where there might be more people around, in the wider area or something like that as well. So being able to kind of tailor your sessions to what you're feeling is really important too.
And that's one of the great things about providing an outdoor service that's not based in an office, is you can meet in a public space. You can do all these things which actually probably make it a safer service.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've done sessions with a young person in the library. We were working on creating his own kind of comic book around, his experiences with being on the spectrum, and so drawing from his own need, from his own relationship with games and things like that. And so, every session can look different for somebody as well. Sometimes it's going to the park and just sitting there and having a chat. Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's looking at wildlife in rock pools and rock pooling, and sometimes it's about teaching grounding activities and mindfulness on the beach. So every session can look different and can look unique to that individual as well, and what interests them too.
Perfect. Sometimes it's 10-pin bowling.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's really important as well. Like if somebody isn't comfortable in the outdoors, it doesn't have to be outdoors either.
Yeah.
So it is about respecting where the client is at, whether or not that's a young person or an adult. Given that I work with most of the other services I know in these presentations are just youth focused, but yeah, I do work with adults as well.
Awesome. Jess, what's the best way to refer people to you or to get in touch around like booking in sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is so via the website, there is a referral form there that you can complete. Otherwise, the website has my contact details as well. So you can email me or give me a call, and we can have a chat, set up a meet and greet, whatever works for people.
So good. And do you have availability now?
I do, yes.
So refer.
Yes. Yeah.
And
currently.
Your retreats that you do,
Yes.
do you have, is there a different sort of way of getting in touch with those? Do you advertise for those?
I do.
Are they a regular thing?
So they are regular in a way, but I've got a couple on. So I have an Eventbrite page as well. And so retreats and those kind of day programs are up on Eventbrite as well. So we offer payment plans with any of our events or day programs as well, just to make it more accessible for people, so that we know the cost of living and things like that at the moment, that things are a little bit more tight. So yeah, we do that to help out as well.
So if you don't have, say, NDIS funding or some other funding source, it's not a barrier, or it's not potentially a something that'll stop you from accessing your service.
No, absolutely. And so we also will have a sliding scale as well, and discounts for concession holders as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's the social worker in you coming out for sure.
It is. It is indeed. I want services to be as accessible as what we can be for people. And so that's about, I will also do telehealth with people as well. So if they cannot do face-to-face sessions, also available for
Awesome. So what we'll do too is we will mail out this recording to everyone that's registered, and we'll include some of your program information. I think you've got a
Yes.
flyer and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so we'll send that out too.
Yeah, and so we're
Lovely.
on socials as well, Facebook and on Instagram. So
Very good. Awesome.
not a
Well,
problem.
this is one of the nicest little bite-sized pieces that we've done, and I reckon people are going to love it. So everyone should get in touch with Jess in the Bass Coast and South Gippsland, even if you're not there. Maybe chat to her anyway.
Yeah, and look,
like,
so our retreats we run statewide.
Yep.
So yeah, for instance, our next one is up at Mansfield. We have another retreat happening at Peninsula Hot Springs in August.
ooh.
So yeah.
And you're
lots of
planning one
different
down at
variety.
the prom too, aren't you?
I am, yeah, in the process of planning one down for the prom for later in the year as well.
So good. Oh, this is so exciting. And I'm really excited to work with you soon when we do our adventure group. So
Yes.
love it. All right. Well, Justin,
Fantastic.
unless you've got any other burning questions, thanks for supporting it.
Thank you.
Jess, thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank you, Doug.
we'll put it out soon. And yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you at the next one.
Not a problem. Thanks so much.
All right. See ya.
Bye.